All right, guys, Freddie Fabricate here again, and I got a cool little project for you guys today. I got one of my big trailers out. I changed the tires out recently. As you can see here, these are the new tires that I put on. I got my hands on 4 of them for a great price, almost brand new. These are the ones that came off it. I hate these little tires. They wear out like crazy. They're cheap Chinese junk, and they're on a 13-inch rim. So I went to a 15-inch rim, and now I'm going to try to find a place to mount the tire. I'd like to put it on the tongue. Down the line, I might change it out or mount it underneath if I end up putting some sort of like deck box for storage in the front. But for now, I'm just gonna make up a quick mount. I got a piece of 2x2 tubing that I cut off of my little Harbor Freight trencher. Just gonna weld that on there like that. And I got a piece of bar stock. I'm gonna drill some holes, kind of span across the 5-bolt pattern, and I'll just mount that on the top, and the tire is going to bolt right on the tongue. All right, I threw this old tire in the position here. I just put a little piece of sheet metal I had there holding it up. I just showed you guys the 2x2. I'm going to stick that down. I'm going to cut it to length, a little shorter than the rim, and I'm going to weld this across the top. So just to give you an idea, if I turn that like that, a little more, I'm gonna go across these 2 holes. I'll cut that, drill 2 holes right there, and I'll probably weld a couple lugs from the bottom because I don't want to have to be climbing underneath with wrenches and whatnot. So the other tire is taller, but the way I have it right now, I seem to have plenty of room. Obviously, I don't have this mounted on a rim yet, but when I throw it like that, I still have plenty of room. This is going to be down here, so I don't have to worry about the handle, but it still spins just like it is. So I think I said it before, but this was the front tongue on my Harbor Freight little mini trencher. It basically only took up to like 1 7/8 toe ball, and I used 2 inch for everything. So I cut this off, I put a bigger piece of steel. I think it's in one of my other videos. And then I changed it all to 2 inch. But as you know, I'm a hoarder, so I save all the metal. And it's funny that this piece from the paint fading has orange, and then it's faded orange, let's say. When I was cutting it off, I kind of messed up the top. I could fix it by welding, etc. But ironically, when I stick this down, the perfect measurement is right where the paint starts to dull. So I'm going to take this into the shop, cut that off, and then I'll start working on this piece, measure this across, you know, lay that down like that, give me a measurement here, measure from center to center, the opposite. As you guys know, whenever you measure a 5-bolt pattern on these rims, you measure from the center of one to the outside edge of the second hole or stud. For whatever reason, who the hell knows, but for my purposes, I need the holes to be center. So I'm going to measure center to center, drill center to center, cut, and probably just shape it a little bit just to make it a little round so it sits flush on here, and it'll be from the bottom. All right, moving right along. I'm going to try to do this one in under an hour, which will be a record for me, to be honest. But anyway, so I flipped the rim over so I could kind of lay this bracket across, and just lined it up with the center of each hole, and then put a cross in the middle. I'm gonna go drill it as quick as I can and find 2 studs to weld onto it. So I just moved my measurements over a hair, but they still line up perfect. I just felt like I was a little too close to the edge, so you can make some changes as you go, guys. You know, nothing's set in stone until you drill the holes. And even then, it's not set in stone. That's what we have welders and grinders for. But basically, not much to show here. Just put a little oil in the center like that, and drill away. Doing this one-handed, but you get the idea. All right, I got the holes drilled 1/2 inch. Got the 2 bolts in, and of course, just lost one. So what my plan is, I'm gonna clean the top of this metal, put a nice bead of weld around both of these, and first let me just check, make sure that they fit in perfect. Now I'm going to trim the corners around this edge, cut this off, trim this. Not going crazy. Like I said, I'm trying to do this project under 1 hour. we'll see if I can do it. All right, so I got it set up in one of my little mini vices. I got the ground clamped to the vise itself. I'm not gonna do any preheat. I'm just gonna literally do as fast of a weld as I can around each one. I'm just looking for speed here, guys. I really don't care what it looks like. I know I probably should, but I'm pressed for time on this one. So I'm gonna do it as fast as we can. All right, you can see we're still smoking. Like I said, man, we're not trying to win any beauty contests on this one. Just a very fast weave all the way around. And we're good to go. On the home stretch, guys. I'm gonna mount this offset like this. I got a couple tacks, just getting it eyeball center. And put a couple tacks underneath, took the paint off, and then a couple nice big beads of weld, and we should be good on this side. All right, we got it all welded. I cranked away on this, like I said, as fast as I could. This piece of steel is so thick that it pretty much guaranteed not to warp. Might have warped just a hair, but I think I'll still be all right. If you're welding anything thinner, guys, you really have to do just small increments and maybe make some sort of a jig to hold those 2 bolts from moving while the weld solidifies. Another thing, I've been running this under the faucet to cool it down really fast. Terrible idea if you need any precision out of this, guys, because you will warp thinner metal or possibly even this one. I purposely used this thick piece though. I mean, obviously I want the strength, but I also knew, you know, that it would be able to handle the heat and not really warp. And you can see it's pretty much dead straight. One last tip. So the square tubing is like half the gauge. Maybe we're going from like 3/8 to like, not even 3/16. Maybe that's an 1/8. So when you're welding this material, what you want to do is, let's say you're going by counts, right? And you're doing your little half moons going across, or your weave, whatever you want to call it, right? Count for 2 seconds on the orange steel, which is the thinner gauge metal, and then go up, I'm sorry, the opposite. You know what I mean, guys. 2 seconds on the thick steel, 1 second on the orange. So basically, force all the heat into the 3/8 metal, and then quickly go onto the orange every time you make a C or a weave. All right, I think you got it. All right, and just to prove my theory, hopefully it fits. Perfect. I'm gonna pop this off. Now for the fun, I gotta clean up, take off some of this orange, take off some paint on the trailer itself, and I gotta somehow get this trailer close enough to my garage to be able to weld it on. All right, we got a slight problem. When they welded this trailer from the factory, they really did a terrible job. This cross brace is completely slanted down like this. You can see over here, they didn't even bother to take the time to even it out with the top rail. So I'm gonna bolt this on. It's angled this way. I'm gonna try to just clamp it. I'm gonna measure across, get my center line. And then I have a little piece of sheet metal here. My idea is just to try to shim the top before I clamp it, put some good tacks on the side, get a level on it, and then come back and finish welding. All right, I got the sheet metal in there. I'm getting pretty close. I almost got the trailer level. Just gonna crank down a little bit. Hopefully I could bring it close to where I want it. All right, a little bit more. It's just about good enough, guys. Now, I'm gonna come back on this guy. I think I'm actually a little past my mark, so I'm gonna have to pull the shim up just a hair. I'm gonna do this off camera real quick and then get back to you. All right, she's welded, quick paint job, and ready to go. I just gotta grab the tire, throw it on, give it a couple bolts, and she's done. All right, guys, there it is. Granted, it's a smaller tire, but like I said before, I left plenty of room in here, so it shouldn't be a problem. I decided to mount it just slightly above here. This way I don't have to deal with any junk, water, or dirt, etc. And then in the future, if I want to put a deck box here, which I might, I could literally just cut that bracket off, flip it upside down, and weld it back on facing the bottom and mount the tire underneath, and I should be good.